There's one thing I've learned, it's this. Freedom isn't about walking wherever you want, buying whatever you want, or posting whatever you want online. Freedom is the brutal ability to look the system in the eye and say, "You don't own me." Most men think they're free because they can choose which brand of sneakers to wear, or which streaming service to waste hours on. But deep down, they're slaves to distraction, to their impulses, to their need for validation. That's the real matrix. The software isn't the code, it's your cravings. And you've been running on it your whole damn life. By the end of this video you'll know exactly how to take back that freedom, the Stoic way, even if the whole world stays programmed against you. Think about Neo in the Matrix Reloaded. He can bend the rules, he can fight faster than bullets. But what traps him most isn't the machines. It's the weight of choice, of doubt, of wanting to save everyone at once. That's where most men crash too. You think you're suffocating under your job, your relationship, your debts. But it isn't those things themselves. It's the way you've been trained to believe they control you. You look at the bills and whisper, "I can't escape this." You look at her walking out the door and think, "I can't live without her." That voice is the Agent Smith living in your skull, the enemy you've been feeding. The Stoics understood this before there was ever a matrix. Epictetus was a crippled slave and still said, "You can chain my leg, but not my will." That's not motivational fluff. It's a war cry. And you know what? Most guys today would crumble if you took away their Wi-Fi for one weekend. They'd twitch like addicts. They'd beg for the blue pill again. Because their will has never been trained. They've been told freedom is external, when it's always been internal. You want to reload your life like Neo? Then start here. Recognize the cage isn't the office, the girlfriend, the government. The cage is you refusing to face the one thing you actually control, your mind. Picture yourself in that moment Neo steps into the hallway full of doors. Behind each one is a possibility: love, loss, chaos, salvation. He doesn't get to stand there forever debating. Neither do you. The more you stall, the more you hand over your freedom. You think weighing every option makes you smart, but it's just cowardice dressed up as strategy. The Stoic doesn't ask, "Which door gives me the smoothest path?" He asks, "Which action is within my power right now that aligns with virtue?" That's it. No dithering, no whining. Just the door in front of you, kicked down. Here's where most men wreck themselves. They confuse control with comfort. They think having control means eliminating uncertainty. That's the myth. But uncertainty never goes away. You can be Neo dodging bullets, and the Oracle will still tell you there's a future you can't see. You don't get certainty. You get strength. You get the ability to step into chaos without begging for guarantees. That's the reload button, choosing courage over clarity. Let me give you the gut punch. You've been bargaining with life like it owes you something. If I work hard, I deserve success. If I love her, she should stay. That's the Matrix whispering, programming you with cause and effect fantasies. The truth? Life owes you nothing. She walks, the deal collapses, your body fails. You can rage or you can stand like a Stoic and say, "None of this touches my freedom." When you finally see that, it's like watching the bullets freeze in midair. Not because the bullets disappeared, but because you stopped giving them permission to kill you twice. Once physically, and again mentally. So here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, every time you catch yourself saying, "I can't stand this," stop. Call it out. Replace it with, I choose how I face this. Simple words, but watch how fast it rewires you. That's the inner hack. That's unplugging without leaving the city, without smashing your phone. Because real rebellion isn't throwing Molotov cocktails. It's walking through chaos with unshakable composure, while everyone else loses their minds. And maybe you're thinking, that sounds cold. That sounds robotic. You're wrong. Neo's freedom doesn't make him less human. It makes him more. The Stoic isn't a robot. He feels, he bleeds, he loves. But he never lets those things chain him. He chooses them freely, and if they're ripped away, he remains whole. That's the paradox you've avoided your entire life. The less you cling, the freer you are. The more you try to control outcomes, the tighter the matrix coils around your throat. You know the scene, the architect laying out the cold truth. Choice is inevitable, but your illusion of control is the system's design. That's your life too. You think scrolling through endless Tinder profiles is freedom? It's slavery disguised as abundance. You think chasing every business hack on Twitter is freedom? It's distraction disguised as hustle. Still remember sitting in a bar once, watching a guy drown himself in whiskey because his girlfriend left him for someone richer. He kept muttering, "She was my world, man. She was my world." That line burned into my brain. Because here's the harsh reality. The moment you make another human being your world, you hand them the master key to your freedom. And when they walk away, they don't just leave with their own life. They leave with yours too. That's slavery by consent. That's the matrix you willingly jacked into. Neo faces the same temptation with Trinity. He sees her dying, he feels the prophecy pressing down on him, and everything in him screams, "Save her at all costs!" That's the man's dilemma. Loyalty versus freedom. Love versus clarity. And you've been there too, chasing, pleading, bargaining with reality itself just to hold on to someone who's already slipping. The Stoic lesson is brutal but liberating. Love deeply, but never hinge your soul on another's heartbeat. Otherwise you aren't loving them, you're worshipping them. And worship always ends in chains. Now, here's where the story inside your head screws you over. You build mental programs like this. If she stays, I'll be happy. If she leaves, I'm ruined. That's binary code, and you don't even realize you're running it. The Matrix Reloaded shows us how dangerous that is. Neil isn't trapped by the Sentinels. He's trapped by his binary thinking. Save Zion or save Trinity. As if those were the only two doors in the hallway. You do the same thing every day. If I get this promotion, I'm free. If I don't, I'm worthless. If I buy this car, I'm successful. If I can't, I'm a failure. That's the architecture of your prison. The Stoic demolishes this code. Marcus Aurelius said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't be harmed." That's not denial, it's defiance. It means you step outside the binary. You realize there's a third door, the choice to stay unmoved no matter what. That's what the oracle was pointing at all along. And that's what you need to practice daily. Because otherwise, you'll keep writing code in your head that makes your freedom depend on someone else's behavior, someone else's approval, someone else's damn Instagram likes. Here's the common mistake most men make when they first hear this. They confuse detachment with numbness. They think Stoicism means shutting down, refusing to feel, playing it cool while life burns around them. That's cowardice in disguise. Stoicism isn't about escaping emotion, it's about training it. When Neo chooses to say Trinity, it isn't weakness, it's clarity. He knows what he's risking. He knows what he's giving up. And he accepts it without illusion. That's what you need, not less feeling, but more responsibility over those feelings. So test yourself. Take one situation this week that usually hijacks you. Your boss snapping, your girl flaking, your bank balance mocking you. Watch yourself start to run the old program. Anger, fear, despair. Then cut it. Mid-code. Say out loud, "This doesn't touch my freedom." And notice what happens. You'll feel the system twitch, like Agent Smith when Neo started fighting differently. That's when you know you're starting to unplug, not from reality, but from the story that's been enslaving you. And let's be raw here. If you can't do this, you'll keep being a puppet. You'll keep being the guy at the bar blaming the world for the fact that he built his life on someone else's choices. You'll keep being the guy scrolling through fake escapes, convincing himself he's reloading, when he's just updating the same broken software. You can keep living like that if you want. But don't call it freedom. Don't call it manhood. Call it what it is. Comfortable slavery. The Matrix Reloaded isn't just a movie about Neo's fight with machines. It's a mirror shoved in your face. The question isn't whether the machines control you. The question is whether you even realize how much you've been letting them. And the only way out isn't another app, another girl, another paycheck. It's the Stoic path. Strip it down. A moment in the Matrix Reloaded where Neo stands before the architect, the white-bearded mastermind who reveals the system has rebooted countless times. Neo isn't the first savior. He's just another variable in an equation, another cog in a design that pretends to be destiny. And that scene should shake you, because it's your life too. You think you're unique, but look closer. Your patterns are predictable. You wake up, check your phone, eat the same food, scroll the same feeds, chase the same highs, collapse into the same bed. That's not individuality. That's programming. And the system knows it. The Stoics warned us against this long before machines came into the picture. Seneca wrote about men wasting their lives in meaningless repetition. Trading their one shot at existence for routines that don't matter. You're not living, you're looping. Just like the architect's code. And here's the harsh truth. Every time you run from discomfort into distraction, you reinforce the loop. Every time you cave to lust, greed, or fear, you confirm the algorithm. You think you're making choices, but your impulses are making them for you. Here's where the myth needs to die. The myth that freedom comes from infinite options. That's the architect's trick. Six doors, 12 doors, hundreds of doors. It doesn't matter. Options aren't freedom if every option is still inside the system. And that's how most men waste their lives. They hop from job to job, woman to woman, city to city, thinking change equals freedom. But they never step outside themselves. They never master their will. They're just rearranging the furniture inside the same damn prison. The raw truth? Freedom isn't about how many doors you have. It's about whether you can walk through one without fear owning you. That's Stoicism. Neo didn't break the system by picking a door. He broke it by choosing from clarity, not compulsion. He looked the architect's cold equations in the eye and said, "No, I choose my way." That's the exact muscle you need to build. The one that lets you face a system designed to trap you and still carve out a choice that belongs to you, not your cravings. You think you're making choices, but your impulses are making them for you. Here's where the myth needs to die. The myth that freedom comes from infinite options. That's the architect's trick. 6 doors, 12 doors, hundreds of doors. It doesn't matter. Options aren't freedom if every option is still inside the system. And that's how most men waste their lives. They hop from job to job, woman to woman, city to city. Thinking change equals freedom. But they never step outside themselves. They never master their will. They're just rearranging the furniture inside the same damn prison. The raw truth? Freedom isn't about how many doors you have. It's about whether you can walk through one without fear owning you. That's Stoicism. Neo didn't break the system by picking a door. He broke it by choosing from clarity, not compulsion. He looked the architect's cold equations in the eye and said, "No, I choose my way." That's the exact muscle you need to build, the one that lets you face a system designed to trap you. And still carve out a choice that belongs to you, not your cravings. And you already know where this bites hardest. It's when you're alone at night, staring at the ceiling, realizing how much of your life isn't actually yours. The job you hate but refuse to leave. The relationship you cling to because being single terrifies you. The addictions you defend because they numb the panic. That's not you making decisions. That's you being carried downstream by every current the system pours into your veins. And you wonder why you feel powerless. The Stoics would laugh at your excuses. They'd strip your whining down to its bones and ask one brutal question. What is in your control? That's it. Not. What could have been? Not. What if she stayed? Not. What if the world was fair? Just, what is in your control right now? You can answer it or you can run from it, but you can't escape it. And once you answer, you see the whole game for what it is. The system can offer you 10,000 illusions, but the only thing that matters is how you respond. Here's the exercise. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, before you check the noise of the world, sit still for 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes. And remind yourself of 2 truths. First, nothing outside can dictate your state of mind unless you allow it. Second, today you will face obstacles, losses, disappointments, and they will not take your freedom unless you hand it over. Then stand up and live like those words are law. Watch what happens. The cravings still come, but you no longer bow. The temptations still whisper, but they no longer command. You've reloaded, not your environment, but your will. And don't fool yourself, it isn't glamorous. It won't get you applause. No one will see you on the subway resisting the urge to check your phone. No one will cheer when you refuse to text her back after she disrespects you. No one will pat your back when you sit in silence with your fear instead of numbing it. But that's exactly why it's real freedom. Because it's invisible. It belongs only to you. No likes, no claps, no validation. Just the silent satisfaction of knowing you are no longer a slave to the program. You want to be Neo? Stop fantasizing about flying. There's a fight scene in The Matrix Reloaded where Neo battles dozens of Agent Smiths in that cracked courtyard. At first, it looks almost comical, clones piling on, endless fists, infinite repetition. But sit with that image, and it's more than a fight. It's a metaphor for your daily life. Because that's exactly what your mind feels like when you're overwhelmed. Every negative thought, every craving, every insecurity, multiplying, swarming, wearing you down. And you swing back, but for every Smith you knock down, another to appear. That's why you're exhausted. That's why you feel like life is unwinnable. The Stoics understood this fight. They called it the battle with impressions. Every thought that crashes into your mind. I'm not enough. She doesn't want me. I can't handle this. Is an impression, an Agent Smith trying to hijack your focus. And just like in that scene, the more you flail, the more chaotic it feels. Most men drown here. They think, if I can just kill every negative thought, I'll finally have peace. That's the trap. You don't beat Smith by outnumbering him. You beat him by refusing to fight on his terms. This is where brutal honesty comes in. You're not losing because life is too hard. You're losing because you're still begging to win the wrong game. You want validation. You want security. You want guarantees. And every time you chase them, you multiply your enemies. The Stoic shift is savage but simple. Stop fighting to win the battle of appearances. Start fighting to own your response. Neo doesn't win the courtyard battle by smashing every Smith. He wins when he sees the futility, when he chooses to leap out, to transcend. That's your play too. So test yourself right now. Close your eyes and picture your swarm of Smiths, your regrets, your failures, your cravings. Watch them close in. Feel the panic rise. And then, instead of swinging wildly, pause. Take one breath. Tell yourself, these are impressions. They are not me. They do not control me. And imagine yourself lifting out of the chaos. Not because it disappears, but because you refuse to drown in it. That's not fantasy. That's the Stoic discipline of perception. And it's the only way you ever step outside the swarm. But here's where it gets even darker. Smith isn't just an enemy, he's a mirror. He's the virus of self-doubt that grows the more you indulge it. Every time you give in to bitterness, you replicate him. Every time you blame the world instead of taking ownership, you multiply him. Every time you chase pleasure because you're too weak to face pain, you strengthen him. You're not just fighting Smith, you're feeding him. That's why you feel weaker each year. That's why men collapse into midlife with no fire left. Because they've been cloning their own enemy their entire lives. The way out is ruthless self-command. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Neil realized it mid-fight. You need to realize it in your daily grind. Otherwise, your life will look like that courtyard, messy, endless, exhausting, and pointless. So here's your drill. The next time you feel overwhelmed, don't scramble to kill every problem. Pick one. Just one. Own your response to it fully. Cut the rest. If your girl disrespects you, don't spiral about your whole future. Just face the moment. Do you set a boundary or not? If your boss humiliates you, don't collapse into, "I'll never succeed." Just face the moment. Do you stand tall or fold? That's how you stop cloning your enemy. That's how you cut the swarm down to size. And let's drop the mask. This won't make you invincible. Neil wasn't invincible either. He bled, he doubted, he feared. The Stoics bled, doubted, feared. But they never surrendered the one thing the system couldn't touch, their will. That's what you're training for. Not a fantasy of perfect control, but the raw, daily grind. Saying no to the virus, yes to your discipline, and stepping into chaos without begging it to end. You want freedom inside a programmed reality? Then stop fantasizing about a life without enemies. Stop waiting for the storm to pass. Learn to breathe in the courtyard, surrounded by smiths, and still stand unbroken. That's what Stoic freedom looks like. Not escape, but mastery.